So we all kind of feel like we know what a soul is, right? But what if I told you it's not some gift from a higher power, and it's not written into our DNA either? What if the human soul is something that something that we invented? We're going to dive into this really fascinating, kind of radical idea from the psychologist Nicholas Humphrey. Okay, so it all kicks off with this really strange story. The writer Anatole France once told this tale about a blind old monk who, he accidentally stumbles onto an island packed with penguins. And because he can't see, he thinks they're people. So what does he do? He baptizes the whole colony. And you can probably guess, this creates a bit of a bureaucratic nightmare up in heaven. Suddenly they have to figure out, do these birds now need to be given souls? Yeah, it's a funny little story, but it gets right to the heart of a question that has puzzled thinkers for, centuries. Where do souls actually come from? And who or what gets one? And the solution they come up with in the story? Oh, it's just brilliant. The penguins, they get to have souls, but, and this is the key part, they're to be of a very small size. And that tiny detail, it's absolutely crucial, because it treats the soul not as some big divine mystery, but as like an optional extra, a quantifiable add-on. And this sets the stage for a totally new way of thinking about our own inner world. Now, this idea of a soul being added to a body, it's actually got a pretty long history, and probably its most famous champion was the 17th century philosopher René Descartes. You've heard of him. He's the one who gave us that classic model of the ghost in the machine. So what Descartes did was basically split reality in two. On one side, you've got what he called res extensa, which is just a fancy way of saying extended stuff. The physical world, our bodies, our brains, everything you can touch. And then on the other side, there's res cogitans, or thinking stuff. And this is the non-physical, immaterial mind or soul. For Descartes, what made humans special was that some higher power had come along and literally joined these two totally separate substances together. And this image here really shows Descartes' thinking perfectly. Look at it. He saw the body as just a complex machine. So when the boy's foot gets too close to the fire, the nerves act like little strings, pulling a valve in the brain and causing a physical reflex to pull away. But the feeling of pain, that sensation, for Descartes, that was not part of the machine. Nope, that was the totally separate, non-physical soul having the experience. Okay, so Descartes' idea was huge, super influential. But let's be real, most scientists today completely reject this two-substance theory. The modern view is that the mind somehow emerges from the physical brain. But this just raises a whole new problem, what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. And it was actually stated beautifully in this ancient text. How does the incredible wealth of conscious experience emerge from the poverty of a bunch of gray matter? So how do you solve a problem like that? This is where Nicholas Humphrey comes in with a truly astonishing answer. He basically argues that we've been looking in completely the wrong places. The solution, he says, it's not just in theology and it's not just in biology. Here it is. This is the core idea. The soul wasn't handed down to us by a god. It didn't evolve through our genes. It was added by human culture. Think about that. It's an idea that we all built together. And it completely, fundamentally changed what it means to be human. To help us get our heads around this, Humphrey uses this really great analogy. He says, think of your soul like a passport. Now, a passport itself is just a little book, right? It's not inherently valuable. Its power comes from the government that issues it, and all the other governments that agree to recognize it. In the exact same way, the soul is a culturally sanctioned guarantee. It's a guarantee of your identity, your significance, and your rights. And it's given to you by the human community. And just like your passport has your name, your photo, all your personal details, your soul is anchored by your totally unique, private experience. It's that feeling of what it's like to be you. The specific taste of your morning coffee, the feeling of cool sheets on a hot night, the way you see the color red. No one else has access to that stuff. It's like the biometric data that confirms your identity to yourself every single moment of every single day. Okay, but wait, if the soul is just a cultural idea, a passport, then how does it feel so unbelievably real, so private? How does that passport get stamped inside a physical brain? Well, this brings us to a really fascinating psychological theory that tries to explain exactly that. The theory is called illusionism. And I know, the word illusion can be a bit tricky. It might sound like it's saying consciousness isn't real, but that's not quite it. What it means is that consciousness isn't a physical property of the brain, like its weight or its temperature. Instead, it's a representation. It's a kind of story the brain constructs about its own activity.
And here's a brilliant way to think about it. The philosopher Daniel Dennett put it like this: your brain can have a complex, rich, beautiful discussion of purple without any of your actual brain cells turning purple. See what he means? Your experience of the color red isn't made of red stuff. It's made of thought stuff. It's a representation your brain creates in response to seeing red light.
So, in a way, you can think of our consciousness as this incredible, evolved work of art, a constructed, imaginative self-portrait that our brain paints. And kind of like Icarus in this painting, this constructed self gives us the ability to soar to amazing heights. But it also hints that there's a certain fragility to it. I mean, what happens if this beautiful illusion flies too close to the sun? Can it bear the weight we put on it? So, what are the consequences of inventing something this powerful, this collective work of art? It didn't just change how we see ourselves, it completely remade the entire world we live in. Humphrey calls this new world the soul niche, and it's an ecological term, right? Just like a fish is perfectly adapted to live in water, we humans are adapted to live in this totally unique environment. It's a world built on one huge shared assumption, that everyone else has a deep, private, magical inner life, just like we do. And that is the foundation for everything, for respect, for empathy, for the entire concept of personhood. And look, this isn't some abstract philosophical theory. It's the world you live in every single day. Seriously. When you worry about someone else's feelings, or you respect their opinion even if you disagree, or you feel that pang of compassion for someone suffering, you are living and breathing inside the soul niche. You're already there, I mean, this idea, this soul meme as he calls it, it turned out to be extraordinarily powerful. It was like the psychological software upgrade that allowed us to cooperate on a massive scale. It completely transformed human society because it encouraged us to see immense value in ourselves, and this is the crucial part, in every single other person. You could argue it's the single invention that truly made us who we are today. So that brings us all the way back to the hard problem. You remember, how does the great wealth of conscious experience emerge from the poverty of the brain? But maybe that's just the wrong way to ask the question. Maybe the real question we should be asking is one of just pure wonder. The fact that we humans, through our shared culture, could build something as profound and as real as the soul from nothing more than mere matter. I mean, isn't that the greatest marvel of all?